Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Starting this video with this little disclaimer. I do not know who killed the former US President JFK. Okay, I do not know who killed his brother Robert Kennedy. Okay, I do not know who killed them. But I will say that I will not allow myself to be an idiot. We have a saying in Romania, and it goes like this: Nu te fă din cal măgar. That is, don't lower yourself from a horse into I think you call it a donkey, right? So don't lower yourself just because some people want you to be dumb. So I'm not going to be an idiot. That means I will use all my intellectual faculties, logic, objectivity as much as I can. And I start from the very beginning to tell you I have big doubts that the story with that guy who shot 3 perfect shots in the moving car is accurate. I have my own doubts. I'm a skeptical person, and I don't think the ballistics prove that it was one location. That's me. With that being said, I think I'm still allowed to doubt things here, right? Now, who did it? I have no idea. But let's go to this article coming from Russia Today. And it seems like the Russians are fed up with keeping quiet regarding 2 things. 2. One, it seems to be these assassinations of both Kennedy brothers. And I'm waiting for them to start attacking the moon landing. All right, the US moon landing, I must say that. So, what happened? You know, the US is the global chief moralist that takes everybody to task and tells everybody what they don't do okay, and they are not democratic, their human rights sucks, and all that. But the problem is, it seems like the US don't, or doesn't, it depends how you look at it, use a mirror and look first at themselves and then point fingers. On the other hand, this country, the United States of America, claims it is a Christian country, or Judeo-Christian blah 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 tralala, which I again dispute that claim. And they say that, remember, don't point to my little thorn in my eyes before you take your little beam out of yours. But hey, it seems like it's just with a show, like many things. All right, Russia Today, June 7th, 2023. Russia tells US government to publish truth about JFK assassination. Remember, this is what the Russians are saying, not me, okay? Only when Washington gets its own house in order can it pressure to lecture others, Moscow has said. So the Russians right now are telling this, and this is for American citizens as well. Certain things that I got to know while living here were like taboo, and not only taboo, they were like law. And people would not go back to challenge because that's how they were taught in school, and then the mass media, Hollywood, politicians, and so on. And because some of them did not give up. Okay, let's put it this way. The problem is governments in general lie. All right? I don't think there's one government on this planet, including the United States of America, that did not lie. And the United States lied, for instance, in the Gulf of Tonkin in Vietnam. So YouTube, if you think of doing something against me right now, go and check that out when the US government said something that was a lie. That's one example. Okay? Now, by doing that, you should be skeptical as a rule in anything that someone tells you, especially if they lied to you before. All right. With this being said, let's go back to the article where the Russians, with their own sins, they now are fed up with these guys pointing fingers all the time and who's who, what's what, and say, you know what? Why don't you clean your backyard first, and then you show your face in public and start calling everybody out, cleaning your backyard or something like that. Okay. Let's go back here. So this is not out of hatred for anybody, it's about love for truth. Remember how, I want to go back here. Remember when Aristotle was asked a question, and Aristotle said, well, Plato is my friend. I love Plato, but I love truth more. So, sorry, let's go back here for the final time. If the US wishes to be considered an authority on democracy and human rights, it ought to come clean about the killings of President John F. Kennedy and his brother, Russian Foreign Minister spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said on Wednesday. During her regular daily briefing, Zakharova was asked about the statement by U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who said Washington intends to champion human rights and fundamental freedoms in China and worldwide. And I'm quoting Zakharova, Washington itself has long fallen short of the standards of democracy that it publicly declares everywhere, end quote. Zakharova replied, adding that the U.S. promotes, and I'm quoting, pathetic, hypocritical rhetoric, end quote, abroad to hide its neo-colonial ambitions and geopolitical interests. And I'm quoting, the history of American politics contains many unsightly facts that are deliberately hushed up by the U.S. authorities, end quote. Zakharova noted. As an example, she cited the Kennedy family and the recent anniversary of the June 1968 assassination of Senator Robert F. Kennedy in Los Angeles during the presidential primaries in which he was a favorite. The RFK assassination came 2 months after the fatal shooting of civil rights leader Martin Luther King. Hey, you have to say Reverend, Doctor, Jesus Christ, and Junior. These guys did not get the memo. And almost 5 years after the November 1963 assassination of John F. Kennedy, the 35th U.S. President, Zakharova told reporters, and I'm quoting, I suggest to Mr. Blinken to muster up the courage and publish all the materials regarding the political assassinations of the U.S. presidents, in particular John F. Kennedy, and tell his people, first of all, the truth about what happened in Dallas and later in Chicago at the Democratic Party convention. End quote, she said. Yeah, I'm for publishing all the materials, but I'm quoting again. Only when they close the case on these political killings can they try to correct other countries, end quote, the Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman argued. And I'm quoting again, while such egregious crimes remain unsolved, well, they are solved, they told us who did it, Shiran and Oswald, come on, now be... and the killers not found and convicted, if I were American leaders, I would not open my mouth about other countries, and certainly stop lecturing everyone else how to live, end quote. And I'm quoting here, solve the Kennedy assassination, both of them, actually, and then maybe you will be regarded as an authority, or maybe not. All right, now, Robert F. Kennedy's son, the JFK's nephew, Robert Francis Kennedy Jr., launched his primary challenge to President Joe Biden in April. In an interview last month, he said that there was, and I'm quoting, overwhelming evidence that the CIA was involved, end quote, in his uncle's murder. And I'm quoting again, Robert Francis Kennedy Jr., very convincing but circumstantial, end quote, evidence the spy agency was also linked to his father's assassination. The official findings of the U.S. government, known as the Warren Commission report, said that the U.S. Marine veteran Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone and shot the president while his motorcade was passing through Dallas on November 22, 1963. Before he couldn't stand trial, Oswald was shot dead by nightclub owner Jack Rubinstein. I might bring more evidence here. Jack Ruby, yeah, okay. John Cosman, okay, at the Dallas police headquarters. The Warren Commission ruled that Ruby has acted alone on impulse out of grief. Okay, yeah. Ruby died in prison in 1967. Later that year, the CIA issued a directive on how to discredit, and I'm quoting, conspiracy theorists, end quote, who dubbed the official findings of the Warren Commission. All right, so this is what the Russians are saying. Clean up your own backyard and then you talk to me, or talk to anybody else and try to lecture us. The same thing is with the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, two civilian cities, and they lecture everybody else about, using this and using that, and you can't have nuclear weapons, you can't have, not even for peaceful use, because we know how it was. As I always use this analogy, like a rapist who is, raped a few women. He's a convicted criminal, but not convicted because I don't know why. He is just going to be making a case, should be put in charge of, I don't know, as a justice or a police officer or a police chief, because he knows how it is to you know what I mean? Not to be to This is the argument, the stupid argument that we are just gulping. Not we, but these guys for such a long time, unfortunately. So, what do we have here? We have Zakharova just asking questions and daring the US government to release all the documents. I don't think that anything spectacular will be found, like, Gigi did it, not Mikey did it, or someone who's going to be revealed someone's name, or we're going to get in trouble, right? I think the whole system will crumble. Why? Well, I just have a gut feeling, and I was always suspicious of people who would not tell the whole story, because it makes you always wonder, in that story that it's not told, or we are not allowed to know, maybe changes the whole story. So, especially when it's the government, and I think the government has a obligation to let the population know. After all, the government is there because the people created the government. It was not the other way around. So they are our employees. We are their employers. So they have an obligation, I think legal obligation, not only moral obligation, to tell us what happened and punish if there is someone else other than Oswald, which is gone, and Shiran. Also, he's not gone, is he? No, I don't think he's gone. He's still in California, in a prison somewhere, I think. He's denied all. Was he? Did he die? I have no idea. I don't really care, because there were so many shots in that little kitchen that Robert Kennedy was passing through, that they say, man, this is like, Jesus Christ, no, we can't. Anyway, my friends, I think she's right, and if there's nothing to hide, why not, right? It's like when a police officer stops you and asks you to present, the driver's license, registration, and blah, blah. And then he says, can you step out of the car? And then it asks you do I have the permission to check your car? And you say, no. Why? Do you have anything to hide? Well, why don't you ask the same way the government or police officer? But they are quick to ask you that. But when you ask them, you are a conspiracy theorist. But the cop is not. You see, it's two sets of rules and laws. So anyway, my friends, yes, I think that that portion that we're not allowed to know, and much more, is something that could, just as a principle, if you don't think, it's something more over there, they would, as a principle, it's been 1,000 years already since the poor guys were, eliminated. I think it's at least the time to do something. It's what, 60 years? Anyway, thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.